In America, about 88% of patients have abnormal metabolic markers when we look just across the board. And the unfortunate part is the culture that we live in is, it's confusing for patients because they hear on one side they should eat a plant-based diet, and then on the next side, meat is bad, fat is good, fat is bad, don't eat eggs, okay, eat lots of eggs. And it's very confusing, the amount of information that's out there. And the invention of social media, I think, as helpful as it is, I love my platform, I think sometimes it can feed that animal a little bit too. So, what really changed for me was I had to start questioning everything. I looked at medicine and I said, okay, the three most common things that are going to make my patients either die or be extremely miserable in life is cancer, heart disease, and neurologic conditions like Alzheimer's. And at the root cause of all three of those conditions is metabolic dysfunction. So, abnormal cellular energy. And so I went back to my nutrition background. I started looking through the literature and I was like, I think we have this wrong. We had really vilified fat in the diet. And what happened when we did that was food manufacturers were smart. They said, that's great. We're just going to market products as heart healthy, low in fat. But what they did is they replaced a lot of the ingredients in processed food products with sugar, flours, and inflammatory seed oils. And these products taste good, they're very addictive, and they're quote unquote low fat, heart healthy. The American Heart Association put their label all over it. And I realized how much money there really was in pharma and in medicine, unfortunately. And so, I really think the path to better metabolic health, no matter what diet you prescribe to, whether it's Whole30 or paleo or ketogenic or carnivore, even, some vegetarian diets for that matter, it really comes down to eating whole foods and controlling your energy intake, whether that's fat or carbohydrates. And if you have insulin resistance, fixing that, getting your mitochondria and your cells to actually function properly. It's really made me respect, what the fuel sources are that we put inside our body. And nutrition, from a medical perspective, is the number one thing you can do to help so many conditions. And I'm not just talking heart disease and diabetes. I'm talking anxiety, depression, premenstrual syndromes, everything that I see in women's health, PCOS. Nutrition is the number one thing you can do to impact these conditions. I think the reason why I find so much success in my practice with people limiting carbohydrates is that when they eat adequate protein and fat, those normal satiety mechanisms are there. Women, once I keyed in on this earlier, they're very emotionally attached to food. And so when you can provide a woman with satiety where she's not hungry all the time and having cravings all the time, it makes them more compliant with lifestyle changes. And the only thing that will work long-term is something that's sustainable. You can't go on some, radical diet. Those things are not sustainable long-term. And a very low calorie diet, let's just tell people, well, just eat less and move more. A very low calorie diet will ruin your normal satiety mechanisms for up to 2 years after you go back to maintenance. And so you'll be extra hungry for 2 years. That's why people, lose 40 pounds and then regain it. That's why it happens all the time. And so the ketogenic diet, low carb diets, it's not about weight loss. It's about resetting those satiety mechanisms. It's about the anti-inflammatory effects. It's about the fact that it forces them to eat more fat and protein, things their brain needs and wants, their cells want, their mitochondria want. So it's not just about the calories.
Yeah, that's a great way to put